Michelle Nesky, the Posh PA, and I'm going to talk today very specifically about CASPA. You'll hear this a lot, and CASPA stands for the Centralized Application Service for PA School. So it's really where most of the programs house their PA school applications. You may be able to find a couple of programs outside of CASPA, but the majority will have their application within this service, making it more centralized. And I want to talk about the top 3 things that I would do if you are applying really in any cycle. The first 3 things you should do when you log into your CASPA account for the cycle in which you plan to apply. So right now it's 2023 and we are getting ready to apply in the 2023 cycle in just 2 weeks. And so I really want to give you very specific tasks to do when you are able to log into your account for the new cycle. It doesn't matter if it's 2023 or 2027, these things will still apply. But before I do that, if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button because I'm here every week dropping new tips to help you get into PA school, become a successful student, and a fulfilled practicing PA. So a lot of students can be very intimidated by CASPA. It can be overwhelming and really has just a few different sections that can sometimes cause a lot of anxiety and stress just because it seems like a lot of information and a lot of different sections. And I'm going to walk you through that in a separate video. But today I want to talk about when you sign into CASPA for the first time in the new application cycle in which you are applying. So right now it's 2023. And in 2 weeks, the application cycle will open. If you already have a CASPA account, you can certainly log into it at any time and kind of play around and get familiar with it. But I'm talking specifically today about what you should do, the first 3 things you should do when you log in for that new cycle. So on April 28th, when it is open, you will log into your CASPA account. And the very first thing that will pop up is it will say, if you have entered anything in CASPA before, whether you have applied before or just were working in the application, it will pop up and ask you, do you want to transfer this information over? Or do you want to start a new application? It really depends on your status. If you're a reapplicant and you have a lot of stuff in there, I would transfer it over because you definitely don't want to have to repeat that work. You can still edit it, but I would transfer it over. Even if you didn't apply and you were working in the application beforehand, you want to bring that over so you don't have to redo it. If you've never logged in before, then this is your chance to start a new application. So that's number 1. It may take some time for them to transfer the information over, so don't be worried if it takes a few hours or a day or so for that to get into your new application. Once you are in, you will be prompted to pick a program. You don't have to pick all your programs at that time, and don't freak out if your program is not listed at that exact date. Some programs open their CASPA application a little bit later. So if you don't see a program right away, don't freak out. Maybe it's just they're going to open theirs in the next month. Okay. So, but you do have to pick one program to be even able to get to the next step of the application. And so just pick any program. Even if you wind up not applying to that program, just pick the program so you can get into the application itself. Now, the very first thing that I would do once you are in the application is go to the supporting materials section and request your letters of recommendation. Why? Because in this circumstance, you are relying on other people to upload their letter to the application. You cannot upload it for them, okay? So basically, the people that you've asked to be your evaluators on your PA school application, you will go into CASPA, into supporting materials, and the very first section says evaluations. In there, you will list your evaluator's name and email address. You then have the option to send them a little note to say, this is my letter of recommendation for my PA school application. I always recommend that you give them a deadline. I know I work better with deadlines when doing evaluations. And then you request it. When you hit that request button, it sends that person an email. Then they have to open the email, fill out the questionnaire, and upload your letter. Once they have uploaded your letter, it will say completed, okay? So I always recommend that's one of the first things that you do when you log into CASPA, because you do have to have 3 letters of recommendation in there before you submit your application. And the last thing you want to be doing is waiting around for other people to get their letters in for you. So do that right away, okay? The second thing is, if you have not already, and if your transcripts are complete, go ahead and request your transcripts be sent directly to CASPA. Again, you cannot send them to CASPA. They have to come directly from your colleges and universities. So however many that you went to, you will need to get those transcripts sent from your college to CASPA directly. That can be done either electronically or by mail. It really depends on what your program does, okay? But you want to make sure that these are being official transcripts that are being sent from your college or university to CASPA directly. You cannot be the middleman here, okay? So they have to come directly from that. Now, if you're not quite done with your coursework yet, I would wait until your transcripts are complete before you request and send them over, as long as it's not going to be too late in the cycle. And there are different caveats about that I like to talk to individual applicants about. And you can always book a session with me on my website at michellenesky.com. If you're not sure when you should be requesting your transcripts, but if your transcripts are complete or are going to be complete by the end of May, I would wait until they're all done and then request they be sent to CASPA, okay? So that's the second thing I would do if you are able to do that. And then the last thing I would do is go ahead and knock out that personal information section. That is the quickest section to kind of get done. That information is demographic and pipeline information that doesn't really have a large bearing on your application. It's just to know who's applying to PA school, from where, what ethnicities, all of that. So that's what we mean about pipeline and demographic information. And you can fill that part out pretty quickly and just check it off, right, as done. So those are the first 3 things I would do. I would then work through the next couple of sections one at a time, and really take your time and don't rush through these sections, particularly your transcript entry, because you want that to be correct, okay? At the end of your application, when you are absolutely done and all 4 sections are complete and you are ready to submit, your application will go into a verification process where your transcripts will be matched to what you entered. So you want to make sure that that's all correct, so there's no delays in the verification process. Once your application is verified, it is sent to the programs, okay? So I'm going to do a separate video that's like CASPA sort of walkthrough about this, but in this video, I just really wanted to tell you what I would recommend as the first things you do when you're able to log into CASPA for the very first time, okay? So I'm going to recap those here, and the very first things I would do is transfer your information over if you've entered anything in there or if you've applied before. Request your letters of recommendation and send your transcripts if they are complete. So those are the things that I would do first, then work through each section of the application slowly. I know that everybody is very, very eager to get their application in early, but what I really caution you is just make sure you're completing every section correctly. Make sure that you're not rushing through. That's when mistakes are made. And you want to submit the most complete application as you can. So those are my tips for today. Be sure to catch my next video on more details regarding each section of CASPA and a little bit of a walkthrough of those. I'll see you again soon.